love the smell of queef in the morning.
I mean, you know, normal for us.
Line up, ladies!
What do you mean, line up?
Now!
What?
If you're gonna learn to be true dodgeballers, then you've got to learn the 5 Ds of dodgeball. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. If you master the 5 Ds, no amount of balls on earth can hit you. Quebec, go ahead.
Me or... Yeah, shouldn't we, like, learn by dodging balls that are thrown at us, or...
That's what this sack of wrenches is for. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
What?
Any other questions?
Yo, how are we, everyone? What's going on? Mo, that was for you. I hope you liked it. Different intro for you. Bancroft is going to be here in a minute. I actually ran late for the first time, I think, maybe ever. I don't like being late. I have this thing about being late. Anyway, let's say hi to the chat. Eighth Alliance here. Noran Rad's here. Good to see you, man. Mo Biggs, good to see you, dude. Nate Callis, good to see you as well. Dean's here. Scrolling down. Shout out from Professor Murphstream. He had Coach and Malin on. Mike's in the house. How are you, man?
Yo.
I'm just scrolling down. He says, "Can't believe Rob Gate kept my membership. I expect this from Bancroft, but not Rob." Yeah, we need someone to buy some more memberships. It's just it's how it is.
Oh right, needs gifting.
Needs more gifting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sumo Thori's here. Good to see you. Dave Brink's in the house. Scrolling down. All right. I think that's it for now. Jasper's in the house. Good to see you, man. Bancroft, what are we talking about today, man? What are we talking about? What have you got? You've got for us today. You got stuff for us today, don't you? You got something.
It's your show.
I know you say that, but it's our show, Mike. It's not just my show. It's my show when it's going really well. It's our show when I don't have any topics. What have you got? We got something.
I would flip that and do it the exact opposite. All right. Well, if you've got nothing, which
I have stuff, but you have something.
Yeah, I did a video today on on Liam Sharp.
Yeah.
And the situation that he's in. It sparked an interesting conversation in the old comment section. Did you read his tweet threads?
No. Bring it up if you got it. Otherwise, I can find it.
No, I got it.
And who does everyone know who Liam Sharp is? Everyone in chat, do you know who Liam Sharp is?
Liam Sharp is a artist of Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, writer of The Brave and the Bold, Starhenge, a novelist, God Killers, Paradise Rex Press included, and just in case you didn't know, he's a he/him. Yeah. So there's that too. 36,000 followers. I would like that. I'd like to have 36,000 followers on Twitter. I don't.
Even with 11,000 him following though, you don't like that ratio, surely?
I don't. No, the ratio is fine. He's 3-1, but it's not fantastic. I mean, he could probably get that under 1,000. He'd probably be doing a lot better than he is. But whatever. I don't know. That will take a long time to get rid of 10,000 people. Unless you just get rid of everyone and then start from scratch. That's probably how I would do it. I would just say to everyone, look, I'm unfollowing everyone. My timeline is just a complete mess. I'll follow you back if I know you. How about that?
If I like you.
You don't say it like that. Yeah, so basically Starhenge is a Image comic, I believe. Now, if people have read this in the Jasper says your boys acted an epic video on Liam Sharp. Yeah, it is a good video. Yeah, we could we never EFAP on this show, do we? We could EFAP.
Let's get crazy up in here.
Yeah, he had some good takes. I listened to it before I did mine because I just wanted to sort of make sure we weren't just going to make the same video. His take was sort of more about you kind of, this is the bed that you wanted to lay down in, kind of thing. This is what it is. So it's definitely worth a look if you want to grab that. But yeah, essentially what happened is this book launched 37,000 sold on issue 1. And but he says actually it's more like 15,000 because that's all the variants. And then by number 5 it's down to 8,870, and if they dip below 7,000 they stop making money. That's how little money you make on this. I remember Dan Frager saying he sold 18,000 copies of a book through Image, and he made $1,800 or something like that.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you know, after you pay Image a fee to publish through them, and then I think they take their cut. I mean, they do the whole of publishing and distribution, and they probably, I don't know if they limit you on how you promote it. I don't know. But then, you know, the distributor takes their cut, the retailer takes their cut. At the end of it, you're left with a small amount per issue. And I think these books are about $4 each or something. So they're not, I mean, it seems like a lot, but what's that? 8,800, 8,870 times, if they're $4, is 35,000. So it's like, it's not that much money when you consider that you sell to the retailers at half price and then they put it on top of it.
Like, you made more money on that, on the Lucent, than that.
Well, it's different. I mean, these things I presume are coming out monthly, but the point is, like, there's a lot of outlay that goes into these things. Now Mo has a point, the same point that Nefarious has. He says he read Starhenge, didn't like it, didn't come back for the second one. Sounds like Ogden is the same. So it might, like, you can make the argument that yeah, you know what happens, and this is what I said in my video, is, and I still believe this is true, when these number 1 issues come out, everyone buys them, and the variants, because the variants are probably going to be rarer, because if this thing does become a movie or a Netflix series, then they have the issue number 1 and they're just collecting it. They probably don't even read it. But now you get down more to the people who actually are enjoying reading it, and the number is closer to about 7,000. So as Jassa pointed out in one of these replies here, he's like, this whole system is broken. This is not an industry. It's like these are like vanity projects. It's not, the people who are making these aren't thinking, how am I going to make money? How am I going to do this in a sustainable way going forward? I don't think you can do it anymore with Image because, well, I don't want to spoil it. We should play the video, your boy Zach's video, because he actually gets into it a bit more as to what's happening here.
All right.
Dean says, to be fair, Ogden is barely ever happy with any of his purchases.
Fuck's sake.
Damn.
Press the wrong button.
It's your boy Zach, and this video is about the perils of not saying something. Before I start, Jawbreaker's Forever graphic novel. I am Sites 3. Brit, living in the US right now. He's worked on everything. He's worked for every company. I think the last major thing he's done with the mainstream was that Grant Morrison Green Lantern book from a few years ago. And everyone likes him. But he's learning some lessons a little bit too late. So he says that to give you an idea how hard creator-owned books are to sell, Starhenge number 5, this is his latest series, came in at 8,870. That's it. There will be no reprints. If we dip below 7,000, we stop making any money. We won't make much at all on number 4, 5, and 6, so then it's down to how well the trade does. Go too low, and we end up actually owing money. That's in all of North America and the UK.
Pause that. That's brutal. Like, imagine after it's already been made, you end up owing money. I don't know what he means by that. Who does he owe money to? Image, the distributors?
Yeah,
I
must
guess
be.
it goes through Diamond. I don't know actually anymore. I know a lot of people don't go through Diamond, but that's brutal. Everything hinges on there being enough interest out there for these kinds of books. So after we EFAP this, I want to jump over to my comment section because there's some damn good comments in there as well, like which answers to that. Like, how many people are actually interested in this stuff anymore out there? And that's my video was more focused on that, which is better to do considering the market that we're currently in. Is it to go sell more books for cheaper or sell fewer books for more?
Well, it's going to
And
have to be the latter, isn't it? Really, like
I think so in the current situation that we're in now, because I just don't think there are. I just don't think there are tens and tens and tens of thousands of people out there just waiting for the right book to pop into some local comic book shop. I don't think they exist. Anyway, Zach gets into that.
Camel says, now imagine you spend 4 hours on a stream and make 2 to 3 sales. Time management is dictating that it's not always doing streams. That's a sad part. All right.
Yeah, there's a whole mysterious thing that goes into this that there's a lot of factors that we talk like we kind of know the answers, but we're navigating these seas just the same as everyone else.
Any number of readers in the grand scale. It is so hard to reach people. That's not actually true. I risk damaging my IP sharing this.
Do you agree about that? It's not actually true? Reaching people? I don't think it's pretty fucking hard to reach people.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is hard to reach people. I mean, Zach came up in a kind of like right place, right time. He was the right guy. And his channel blew up. So he probably doesn't really know how difficult it is for other people to grow their channel. A lot of people struggle with under 1,000 subs for a long time and don't really figure out how to get it out there. If you're someone like who doesn't want to do YouTube or anything, just trying to sell it through Image or wherever, I imagine it's really difficult to get it in front of people who actually care about it. So I think you're right there, Timberwolf. It is a bit of a yes and no. Some people do complain about it while they do nothing. Others do a lot of things and still suffer.
It's not hard to get your stuff out there. It's hard to get people to see your stuff, though.
I didn't even know this was a book, and I have a bunch of Liam Sharp books already. So I'm already a fan. I've had interactions with this guy and he was great. So I would consider myself a fan. I didn't even know this thing existed. We obviously just run in different circles. I'm not going to be looking through normie independent comic catalogs in local comic book stores. I'm not going to be walking around my comic book store looking for the latest new indie offering. That's just not something I do. So I never even heard of this thing. I didn't see anyone talking about it either.
The big two have decimated interest in US comics for years now. Technically, it should be good for us indies, but the biggest hurdle is always putting books in front of people. Not many go look for them. Yeah, that's true, man. All right, keep going.
Because it kills the, quote, theater, unquote, of success, given that it's had such great reviews. That's another problem. But you can't hide from hard facts.
Had such great reviews apart from the 2 people in chat that have read it so far.
Well, the reviews are like, I mean, that's here and there.
Yeah, reviews are so hit and miss. Like I've had like so many incredible, outstanding reviews on Replicator as you have on Lucent, but someone might love it to death and the next person might not enjoy it at all. Like I've had both of those. You've had someone give you an F. So
the point being that just because a book gets great reviews does not mean it's going to be a big seller.
Yeah.
Lots of things have critical acclaim, but don't have mass commercial appeal. That's all. That's in all things. That's not just related to comics.
Mm.
Maybe it will encourage more people to support it. I wish I knew. That's significantly less people than attend most Comic Cons. He's talking about the 8,000 number. And it does make any future projects precarious because I can't survive on thin air. I wish it had been a runaway success, and I'm so proud of it, but that's the reality. I did what I could. I tried. What I need now is for people to go and order the trade. That could save it. I hope so. There's no denying that it makes me worry about my future in the industry. When people call me a legend, it feels hollow sometimes because I can't generate anything like sustainable numbers. It feels like a slow slide back to obscurity. At what point does it stop being worth it? I find it heartbreaking that it's writers, not artists, that really generate sales. It should be even. It's a visual medium.
Is that true?
In the direct market, yes. Yeah, people are always talking about the writer. Like they don't really, they don't really have big, or at least they don't push them. They don't market the big artist rock star. Otherwise, Dal Keown and Kenneth Roquefort would be the biggest names in comics. They're not. It's Tom Taylor and Dan Slott and people like that.
It used to be. And either way, I am a writer. I have published novels and great reviews to prove it. But without a top book to write, readers have no way of knowing that. So here's the problem, and I'm not going to mince words. If anyone
Okay. Get into it.
had traveled to New York City, especially in the days after 9/11, they had this phrase, see something, say something. You see some sketchy person planting a backpack at a load-bearing pillar in a subway, you say, people don't usually do stuff like that. Let me tell someone it might be a bomb. For 5 years, the comic book industry has been absolutely eradicated by multiple factors. And almost no one said anything. The few who did say something were immediately ostracized. And the corrupt media, specifically Rich Johnston and Heidi MacDonald, presented this fairy tale.
Rich Johnson of Bleeding Cool. Who's Heidi MacDonald? Do you know who she is?
I think she's another reporter,
Okay.
journalist, I think.
Endless success. But that success was borrowed from other people outside of the main.
Yeah, these are all the people, like, this is the whole thing. This is the whole narrative that's been going on for years now. Like, comics are booming, and anytime we point out the reality of the situation, it's happening right now, actually. There's a guy on Twitter who's going around calling everyone crazy, who's saying that the new Kal-El book was cancelled when it clearly was cancelled. And everyone is saying it was cancelled except Tom Taylor and a couple of weirdos on Twitter. And they're saying, yeah, no, comics are the best they've ever been because they're looking at the numbers of Dogman and Demon Hunter in Barnes and Nobles and Scholastic.
That's right.
So and the meanwhile, top talent is worried about their future. Other people go off to make real money. They go into concept art and stuff like that because they know they can't actually make money. And for a lot of these guys, if they want to work on things they want to work on, it's just for vanity. They're vanity projects. It's not a real industry.
And manga is just eviscerating comics, and it has been for a long time.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, see, we compare comics and manga, and it's ironic because manga was inspired by American comics, but it's really not the same thing anymore because Japanese manga, Korean manga, and French bande dessinée, they cultivated and maintained their reading culture. You can get these things everywhere. You can get them for cheap. You can get them here. You can get them there. You walk into a pharmacy, you got them. You can walk into a supermarket, you can get them. You can walk into a pub, a bodega, whatever it is. I don't know. They're everywhere. I think you can get them in vending machines in Japan. that situation is long gone in England, in Australia, in the US, in Canada. It was traded in for speculation. And then on top of that, they chased after phantom audiences and stuff like that. Anyway, let's continue on.
And just on manga, like they have something that's really successful, and then that ends or it continues, whatever it happens. But there's another thing that takes its place, and another thing, and it just keeps on. They just keep on making hits after hits, and obviously there's a lot that doesn't work, but they keep having those big wins. Anyway,
It was borrowed from Dogman and Raina Telgemeier. It was borrowed from the very people they ostracized who found great success in crowdfunding. Meanwhile, this channel started reviewing books, and it barely ever reviews books, and nobody really asks for them to come back. A few people do. Half of the geek channels out there started as comic book review channels. But what happened is a couple things. Number one, the books were just really bad, which means that there was less readers, which means there was less people interested in hearing about reviews. Number two, the vicious retaliation for truthful reviews turned so many people.
This is like personal for Zach.
He talks about
what he's talking about here. This is the story of his last 5 years. And it's like a situation where now people, it's affecting them. Pros, it's affecting their livelihoods. And they're like, oh, what's happened? Where did everyone go? And it's like, I know you're a good guy, Liam Sharp. He really is. But the time to fix this was 10 years ago. And then the time to really fix it was 5 years ago. It's kind of too little too late now. The bed was made. The die was cast long ago. And there's no real way to get it back as far as I can see. But yeah, this is all real to your boy Zach. I mean, anyone who was around in 2017, 2018 saw what that was like. For these prominent critiques of the industry.
I want to read some of these chats because there's good ones, but we'll keep the video going and then we'll catch up.
good reviews, but these are on shill sites that give basically everything glowing remarks. People don't go to the comic book industry for anything except for Marvel and DC Comics. And then the indie books, like Starhenge, then they get a look. What is all we have heard about DC for the last year? Which character is now gay? What's all we've heard from Marvel for the last 2 years? Which pros are gay? Marvel has a thing where you have to be the identity of the character you write for the most part, except for when they just arbitrarily don't enforce that rule. While DC has allowed some wiggle room, you can be Tom Taylor or Megan Fitzmartin, and you can be straight, white, and cis, and you can write gay characters if you make that your thing. There's been nothing to get anyone into the stores for years. There's been egregious, awful behavior from pros and the shill media towards critics and towards former mainstream pros who are now risking it all to put out their books under tremendous pressure, not just the regular pressure of competition and the economy, but the pressure of vicious whisper networks who are encouraged by mainstream pros. I'm not singling out Liam Sharp for doing that, but what I'm saying is he saw this happen for 5 years. Why is no one buying Starhenge? Because people aren't going into the comic book stores to read about the gay X-Men or bisexual Batman or who got turned gay this week. There's been an absolute obsession with gay characters and gay activism, and 95% plus of humanity
This is a great point.
You might as well have just focused the entire industry on albinos, hiring and selling to albinos. That's what you did.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues I have with like the whole, trans representation. It's such a small number of people in the world that the amount of focus that is on it, just it's not realistic. I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, there's someone tweeted. I asked that question back in 2015. Like, why are you wanting to change up all these characters to represent, become an avatar for a demographic? And they told me then, well, it's because if we do it to our own characters, no one will care. We have to do it to the big characters so people see these things in the big stories, so we get the message out there. And it's like, well, you lost me straight away. It's about the message. It's about putting the message and the messaging and the agenda before a story and characters and all the sort of things that drew people in the first place to like this stuff that made it big in the first place at all. So, and Ethan retweeted someone who said the exact same thing just the other day. It's, the reason why we need to do it is because we need that platform to spread our message from.
Oh, you're in your late 50s and you're like, where did all the customers go? They slowly left over the last 5 years. Sorry. They were chased away rapidly by your peers over the...
And that's the thing, man. Like, there's been such a large readership of comics, through our lifetime and before that. But what are kids reading these days? It's not comics, man. Like, where's
manga?
Where's
Victoria
where's the next wave going to come from?
Victoria's got a book about a girl. It's a slice of life, kind of primary school, elementary school story about a girl who comes to a new school, and it's a comic. I mean, it's it's sort of manga size, digest size. That's what the girls are reading. I don't know what the boys are reading. I guess they're reading manga.
Yeah.
I don't buy into this whole thing that no one's reading anymore. I don't think the sales show that. I think sales are going crazy in bookstores, selling more than ever. All the boys that I know of all read. They're not reading this, though. And what parent would let them? What parent would put that friggin' Robin book with the Twinkie Robin? He's like, and give that to their 12-year-old son. I mean, no way. So that's the point. Like, who's this stuff for? Well, it's not for you. It's not for you out there, fan or ex-fan. And that's what he said. Like, you've been pushed away. The readers have been pushed away. They've been shunned. They've been scorned. They've been mocked, labeled, derided, everything, because they want to chase some fandom that's doesn't exist.
The last half decade. How about that? Somebody had to say something, or at least in private go like, hey man, chill the fuck out. You're scaring away all the customers. You had a massive success in crowdfunding a year or so ago. You had an art book make $132,000. You can do crowdfunding. Why would you go back to this broken model? Comic book stores, geek bodegas, I call them. One of the cliches from back in the 80s and 90s is when you would tell someone you were reading comics, they would say, oh, they still make them? Because it wasn't really, very aware in the cultural zeitgeist that comic books still exist. They remember Casper the Ghost, back in the day. Now that happens when someone says they went into a comic book store. They're like, oh, why? Did you break one of your Funko Pop dolls?
Oof.
Oh, were you there to play Magic the Gathering? Oh, were you there to buy comics, old ones? Nobody's going to comic book stores for new comics. You got your image. God, that looks great. Jeez, are you serious?
That does look great.
Okay, so you got this amazing looking comic, but all the shill media talks about is gay Superman so good that they cancel it and turn it into a miniseries. And no one's allowed to challenge that. Now, you can say it's selling about as well as any other book these days, which do tend to get canceled around issue 18. But don't tell me it's mega popular. So they decided that monthly massive income was just too much of a problem accounting-wise. So let's just make this a 6-issue miniseries and then just wrap it up. Ridiculous. You gotta say some shit. This freaking koala guy is driving me fucking nuts. Look how cool that is. You telling me you couldn't sell $150,000, $200,000 of that on Kickstarter? You had half a decade, to steer the ship away from the iceberg. You still have time to have a career in comics, but it's not going to be in this old broken model. It's going to be in crowdfunding. I don't know why you're even bothering with Image Comics. Was it really that much hassle to fulfill? I'm pretty sure Zoop will do that for you. Or you could contact any of the people that your peers won't allow you to talk to, and they'll help you out. I'm sure of it. So anyway, Jawbreakers Forever graphic.
All right, that's it. Wow.
As Antoine says, when Zach is on, he's on. Yeah, it was a great video. I've been watching most of Zach's videos recently. They've been real good. Share my screen.
All right.
So that's the question that's brought up. Here's someone who says, there's not even 100,000 speculator collectors left out there buying Batman and or X-Men, for goodness sake. And if no one is coming into the shop to buy Batman or X-Men, they're not going to discover some indie title. And even the ones who do come into the shop just grab their pull list and maybe glance through a long box for that one issue that will complete their run for something published in the 80s. They have been trained by Marvel and DC that there's nothing worth looking at on the new racks. Very important point. So trying to sell your books in niche specialty shops that primarily cater to people who buy something other than comics like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon cards guarantees you struggle to find an audience. You need to publish online in some way, sell online. Even if you, like me, are the exact opposite of person who could ever be a successful YouTuber, you can still spend an hour or two connecting with other YouTubers or advertising on other YouTubers' channels. Yeah, I mean, and you telling me Liam Sharp, one of the most well-known, best artists who were, had some big hits and stuff recently, couldn't put out a book, a premium book? Where does Jasper leave that comment? I think it was on Twitter. He pointed out, that first book you put out, because he said, I only got 800 backers on my first crowdfund that was a comic. And Jasper pointed out, yeah, but that was like a black and white artsy sort of thing. Put out Starhenge, premium thing, all the bells and whistles. You make a decent chunk of change. And even if you get 1,500 backers, okay, that's a start. Take those 1,500 backers and build on that. And if you can upscale the average order value, like what we saw with Rainy, and get it up to over $100, that's a good chunk of change, and you can make a living off that. He could surely probably get, because he hasn't been canceled. He's not has a naughty name or anything. He could crowdfund on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and Zoop or wherever else. All the big press would talk about it, and yeah, I'm surely he could get like 3,000 or 4,000 people probably interested over time. But that's I understand it's a pretty kind of different way of doing things, but it's clear that that guy left in that comment, that's the situation that you're in. How is anyone going to know about your comic? Jasper said he learned about it through Twitter. They're not going to just pick it up off the shelf at Comics R Us, Bumtown, USA.
All right, let's see what people in chat are saying, because there's lots of comments. Heidi McDonald associated with the Mary Sue from Anton. Yeah. Josh says, my son is starting to read manga. I didn't steer him there. Someone said that was it you that said your daughter's reading manga?
Yeah, I just said it.
Yeah.
Reads manga. American manga.
How many
manga?
Like I'm asking a question here. Like how many women or girls read comics back in the day? Was it ever popular?
The kind of comics we read?
Yeah,
a tiny number. Like Victoria reads comics because American manga now does pretty well to give young girls the kind of comics they'd be interested in. Yeah. Relationship stuff, I'm new at the school, I'm nervous, oh, this boy likes me sort of comics. The kind of stuff that girls are interested in. and there's a good market for that. But even the fantasy stuff, like she read all the Amulet series.
Yeah.
She reads a really popular title in France called oh, I can't remember it. Doesn't matter. But yeah.
Okay, Dan says, I always say the beginning of the end American comic books was when the spinner racks went away in the convenience stores and went
That was
into comic
definitely the
shops.
start. Yep. Because that took away the competition. If you sequester it all into niche shops, you remove competition, and now it's all about gimmicks and silliness. And it was that was the big. You're exactly right, Dan. And then from there, they're trying to we've got to do new crazy things to get people into the stores, and and here we are.
Dave says mental illness is thoroughly represented in the comics industry now. Like, dude, is there a way back? Is there a way back, or is it?
I don't think so.
Is it done?
I think it has. I don't think there's a way back. I think you have to go forward to kind of get back. So yeah, Jasper's right. The graphic novels and trades are selling in bookstores and through Scholastic. So it's not like people aren't reading. They're just not reading this stuff. The industry as it is, it's not serving enough people in the way that it needs to be served to kind of become healthy again. I think the way I look at it is that the French and Asian markets were able to build and maintain their market and their reading culture. Everyone reads comics there, but our sort of Anglosphere countries dropped the ball, and it was Marvel and DC who dropped the ball. And that's lost now. And there's been a couple of generations, or at least definitely one generation, that's completely lost. It's not part of their zeitgeist anymore. It's not their thing. So that's gone. And in that exact same time, we went from a time where people did go and buy more stuff from actual brick and mortar places. There wasn't online shopping and digital options. Well, now there are. So I don't think you can do the whole clear and sort of restart the whole thing. I think the times have shifted now. We have to find new solutions. That's why I think we have to kind of go forward and lean a bit more into this Iron Age thing, which is more direct to customer, do it yourself, sell through the internet somehow. The best way we know how to do it right now is YouTube. I know Liam Sharp said he's not going to do that, and I know there's a lot of other people who can't do that.
Why?
Well, he's just not that well. He's an incredibly detailed artist as well. He sinks his time into that. He just I understand if you're 50 odd years old and it's not really your thing, and you're trying to put everything you've got into making your comic. It's like, now I'm going to have to learn how to be a good marketer and YouTuber as well.
Well, I mean, you can't really complain about not making money and then not do things that could help you make money.
It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Skip says a lot of image books don't make it out of the red till they hit their trade sales. Probably why Kirkman had The Walking Dead colored and re-released as trades. Manga is filling the void that romance and Archie comics used to satisfy generations ago. It used to be newsstands that had newsstand editions, and comic shops had your prestige special versions. Antoine says, Rob, we shouldn't even want to go back. No, I'm talking about, like, is there a way back for Marvel and DC? Like, I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, but is there a way back to... I don't even see it like that. I'm talking about, is there a way back that we can have it so that everyone is reading comics again? Is there a way to make our cultures the same as what they were when you're a kid, you read comics, and then a portion of those kids love it so much they continue on.
Yeah.
And then you've also got artists and writers who want to work in comics because there's money there. Is there a way back to that? I don't think we can go back. I think we have to go forward in some new way, because I just think that ship sailed. And the landscape shifted so much in the meantime. It was like a perfect storm of bad decisions.
So many, just one after the other. 40% Zed. Rob, before the church mums forced the Comic Codes Authority, there was more genres and more girls reading comics because comics were for kids. After that, the superheroes were safe, profitable, but 90% boys. Dan's just saying he never sees girls at comic conventions. Shower thoughts from
No, I remember being like absolutely ridiculed for being into comics in high school. Absolutely just like destroyed. It was the worst thing ever to be into comics in 1994.
Antoine says you want everyone to read print comic again, burn down the internet. No, I'm just wondering if Marvel and DC can get back to a place where they're popular again. I don't see it. Mike's saying you have to move. They have to move. Well, we have to move forward.
Well, and Antoine, that's what it's like in Japan and in France and in Korea. I presume everyone reads comics. When I brought a comic home from the supermarket in France, Mel's dad read it and her brother read it. And if Mel likes the look of it, she'll read it. That just doesn't exist here. I can't picture a scenario where my father would read a comic, or my mother, or my sister. It just doesn't exist.
Nate Callis for 10. Thank you so much, man. Bancroft, did you ever read the French fighter jet fighter pilot comics? They look awesome and pretty accurate. Wish we had a way to get them here in the US.
Nate, I haven't. I have seen them, but you can get them here in the US. I wish I remembered the name of the site. Kelsey Shannon talked about it when he was on the show with me. It's just a person's name is the name of the site. And yeah, you can get most bande dessinée there in the States. I don't know, have some sort of distributor. It's a bit like buying CG books. They're a bit more expensive, but I think the quality, and you usually get a nice, big oversized hardcover, makes up for it. And the length as well.
Timberwolf, I think your goal should be to find people who enjoy your brand story, that they buy their first comic or comic again, although they haven't for a long time. Kind of recapturing those people that love the comics. Dan says, Grant Nolan had a great idea that Marvel could sell comics in the movie theater lobbies. Marvel is too stupid to try something like that. We've talked about that so many times, Dan. Like, Cecil had a great take on that. Mike, you did a video about it. And he's saying like they had the biggest marketing push in the history of comics. And they just let it go by not doing anything with those movies, not getting people to read it. Oh, happy birthday, Antoine.
Happy birthday to you.
So what?
25 years old.
What is the way forward then, Mike? What is it?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think what we're doing is a pretty good way forward, but it's not perfect. It's not like it's easy. It's not like it's guaranteed. It's not like it's going to work for everyone, because we've already seen that to really make a splash, you kind of have to build your audience in some other way. Like I pointed out in that video about the Iron Age stuff, that a lot of these guys who build their channels, except for your boy Zach, not even him. I mean, a lot of the time you build a channel or an audience, you're building it on talking about pretty much anything else except the comic that you're making. You're talking about other people's comics. You're talking about Star Wars. You're talking about TV shows. You're talking about sword fighting. You're talking about libertarian politics. Other stuff. So yeah, I just don't see how that can work for everyone. I don't see how we want it to work for everyone. But I also don't know. I don't see any other way of doing it.
Here's a question for you: are comics competing against manga? Like, is that our competition, or
Well, if
are
they
we
are,
trying?
I mean, that's
Or-
over.
Yeah, or are we trying to find a different audience? D gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Arthur Line, Skip Edwards, Simply Green, Mo Biggs, Geek Hazu. Thank you, man.
How D?
D's a legend. Mo Biggs says, if you want slice of life type stories in this country, your only options are the Avengers, Spider-Man, Batman, Robin, and Superman. God.
I don't really know much. I mean, I've read American manga. I don't like Japanese manga. It's not my
That's
thing. I
awesome.
tried to.
Here we
Some
go.
people were raving about an anime
Mm-hmm.
in
What was
my
it?
chat. Cyberpunk, I think. Cyberpunk something.
Edge Runners on Netflix.
I don't know.
Mm.
It was unwatchable. It was unwatchable. We got through about 20 minutes of it. Like, what is this shite? And then we were like, all right, I'm going to try out some other, like, what's some popular anime on Netflix? And I just tried another one out that said it was really popular. And I was like, it's unwatchable. I can't get through 10 minutes of it. Like Rings of Power, infinitely better than this stuff. And that's saying something. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not my thing. So I don't want to. I can't really speak intelligently on it.
I mean, I've said this before, but I think the fact that manga do anime is a huge benefit that they have, because, you know, like, I'll watch anime before I'll read a manga, and then I'll get into the manga because I've watched the anime. I mean, you don't have that. You don't have that in comics.
Well, I think as well in comics, you brought it up earlier, the whole nothing matters in comics, in American superhero comics. Nothing matters. There's no story. The characters aren't real. The characters aren't real characters. Most of the time, they're avatars. They're also what's that word people use? Like, you know, 007 is not a it's not a person. It's or Thor. It's not. It's a title. You know, what's a word that people use when they say that? Anyway, so they're not real characters that you can get attached to and become a fan of, because there's now dozens of Spider-Mans or Captain Americas. There's different versions. There's multiverses. There's all this sort of stuff. So it's like, and where do you come in? Is there a coherent story that starts somewhere and ends somewhere? No, it never ends. It just a mantle. Thank you so much, Dougal. A mantle. These characters aren't real. Like, Spider-Man is just a mantle that can go to anyone. You know, so yeah, why would you invest your time and money in these characters if they don't mean anything, and it's just gonna get passed on to some new person in a few issues, and they're gonna do their take on it. Whereas with manga, usually it's like, even though it's not one person most of the time making the whole thing, sometimes it is, as far as I'm aware. But at least it's usually one or a few people's vision from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a piece of art, and it's not even comparable. It's really not even comparable what they're doing now. Back when, I say this all the time, back when I got into American comic books, Spider-Man was Spider-Man. He was Peter Parker, and even though it had gone like this and some weird things had happened, you could draw a line directly from what he was doing in 1991 all the way back to 1963, from when he was a high school student. And this was just him today. And, you know, the time moves slowly, obviously, in a comic book. He was a young adult at that time. but I felt like I was reading part of a legacy. This was a real character I could invest in. Spider-Man is my favorite character. And now it's like, well, what even is Spider-Man? Which Spider-Man? And where does he start? This is the alternate Spider-Man, alternate universe. Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? That's the thing. Like, you can't even care about it.
And that's the thing too. Like with anime and manga, like one killer after another comes out. So you had One Punch Man, and people were like, "Fuck, that's sick." Then it's Demon Slayer, which breaks like every single record in the world, and now Chainsaw Man's coming out. Like, it's just non-stop. They're producing, these absolute killers. And what do we get from comics? Like Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's creatively, it's a dead industry.
Yeah,
Nothing
it's
new is being made.
trying to just regurgitate stuff that's already been out for forever. Yeah, completely right.
Yeah.
Awesome One says, I enjoyed anime for 20 years. Yeah. Berserk.
It's a bit like what I imagine classical music has become. Now, there are new composers. That is a thing, but they don't really break out into the public mainstream society much anymore, unless you're a composer working for a big movie studio like John Williams or something. But pretty much all the compositions were made in the years past, and sometimes in the centuries past. I think Bach was like 400 years ago. So all people do now, all the composers or the musicians, they just do their take on Beethoven, on Mozart, things that came before them by these gods of the genre, but they're not creating the next Ode to Joy or anything like that. It's just it's done. There's never gonna be another Spider-Man or Batman or Superman to come out of American comics. It's dead in that sense. So that's not like that at all in manga.
Nah.
Like, it could come from the indies.
Yeah.
It's not gonna come from Marvel or DC.
That's the thing. If it did come from the indies, though, are you gonna hear about it? That's
a good question. That's the question that I asked, because if something does take off, how wide is our reach? We have a pretty wide reach to get seen. I mean, through YouTube, the sky's the kind of the limit. But the problem is how many people are interested in this sort of stuff. That's the problem. The people who were interested in it, they've moved on to other things long ago. The majority of people, I should say. Like, even if Todd McFarlane, let's not say use Todd McFarlane, even if some new hotshot came up with something that was as good as Spawn and as interesting as Spawn, he's not going to be selling millions of copies, because there aren't millions of people who are out there thinking, I'm looking for a comic to buy this month.
one massive hurdle that we face with crowdfunding, right? Like, this is if we're trying to compete with manga, which we can't do, right? Like, I think it has to be a separate audience, like trying to get those people back who loved comics in the 90s, for example, or older. But they put out work, like fucking so much, like weekly work, Bancroft, like a chapter a week. That's something that us in crowdfunding independent comics is never going to be able to get close to that. And Jasper says that all the time. Like, we need to get product out so people can read it and get involved in it. And he's 100% right. But it's not possible to that extent.
Well, you remember how that came about. So originally comics were made as, well, they had extra paper on newspapers. So they were like, well, let's put some pictures on it and make these strips into a bit more fully rounded stories, and we'll put them out regularly. So people were just, doing art as fast as they could. Some of them got better at that and better and better. But even by the 60s, the art was still very basic. It was very basic. But what happened is eventually it got so popular that an industry starts to form around it. Now you've got teams of people working and techniques that people are doing. But even then, even if you go back and you look at the comics that came out, say Jim Lee in his heyday, Todd McFarlane in his heyday, all those guys, the comics themselves were still, the art in them was still very I wouldn't say it's like rushed or anything, but you can tell it was done with a deadline. It's not the absolute best art that they were capable of doing. It's not the sort of thing that you see a lot of people trying for now when they're putting out books every 1 or 2 years, where the people are spending hours and hours on a single page or even a single panel. So it was a whole different mindset, and the industry existed. The industry was there to support that whole production kind of thing that was happening. How much of that is that's not available to you and I? I mean, we don't have that. We can't reproduce that.
Dave says indie comics can be produced faster if there's enough money for a project coming in, which is again it's a big issue. We do really well over here in CG in comparison to the majority, I think. But even then, like it's not easy. Not easy. 930-page issues of Replicator in 10 years. Oh, that sounds great, Jasper. I'll try. Mo says, Rob, do you admire my patience with this weebery? I do, Mo. You're doing really well, man. Props to you. So can we tie it back to what Camel was saying earlier, Mike? Is that where we're heading with this?
If you want.
Yeah. Go on.
No, you go on.
I don't
about how it doesn't always translate what we're doing into sales.
Yeah. Talk about that.
What do you want me to say about it? It doesn't always translate into sales. I mean, I always say, if I knew what made things sell, I would bottle that up and sell it back to people and be a millionaire. I don't know, so I can't. And it's true though, that people come onto streams to establish an audience, establish a name, keep a presence out there. And the whole point of doing that in the long term is to hopefully translate that into big sales down the track. So if that doesn't come about, then you kind of like have to ask, well, am I trying to do this professionally? Am I going into this in a business way? And you got to kind of look and say, like, what do you want to get out of this? Why are you here? Some people are here because they just want to make comics. And then there's like whatever happens, but they'll just be making comics, and that's fine. But other people need to, like Liam Sharp, they need to make sure whatever they're doing, they are getting paid for it. So,
yeah.
So what you wanted to hear?
I don't know. So streaming it's kind of an exchange of time, I guess. Like you stream in the hope that you're going to get sales, but if you're not getting sales, is it worth streaming? Is the question. I think that's Camel was alluding to earlier. I don't really have anything to follow up on that. So, like he just got another backer though on Boots and Heels. Bring that up quickly. It's fantastic.
Nice. Is that 160 yet?
159. He just needs one more. Guys, if you haven't backed this, please go check it out.
Just one more golf cart.
Camel's a fairly decent guy in the scheme of things. So, he'd appreciate support. And like that cover is beautiful too. Look at that. Fantastic. Has the golf cart gone? Disappointing, guys. Disappointing.
I
what
might
else
die
was
of a
it?
heart attack if you were able to get that golf cart sold for
Oh my
Camel.
God, could you imagine? He would never, and I mean never, hear the end of it if that was the case. John Malin's Graveyard Shift is up to 721 backers. He's broken 100,000 Australian, 67,000. Yeah, let's have a look at Dave Brink's book as well.
Fairly decent, Dave. Just fairly.
I feel like this should have more backers. I say that a lot, and I know Bancroft, but you know, it's a great looking book. It gets great reviews. Someone needs to go back it. Look at this thing, beautiful.
Why don't you back it if you think it's so great?
I think I have. Maybe I haven't. I have to check actually. 295, 5 more to 300. Camel needs 1 more to 160, and Malin needs 4 more to 725. Ethan did someone tweeted and Ethan did a response, which was great. We were kind of talking about that before, but I've got it here. So let's bring it up. Here we go.
Mo says if it was made in Japan, Rob would have backed it by now. Yeah, if it had an anime attached to it, he would be all in, Dave.
Dude,
He would
tell me
know
about it.
whether or not he'd backed it. This guy. Do you drink sake, Rob?
I have before, and not a huge fan. Not a huge fan.
I drank sake on my gay date with my friend.
How did that work out for you?
It was all right.
Why not make a new character? This is from Sky Harley. She says, why not make a new character? Because they won't have the platform an existing character will have. We've been writing trans characters and advocating for trans characters for years. They're only now kind of putting Dreamer in the comics. Ultimate Spider-Woman was a throwaway. Ethan replies with, we don't create things.
Hang on, you got to do that in SJW voice.
Oh, you do it then. You do it.
No, I don't have an SJW voice. I'm terrible at that.
What does that sound like? We don't create things. We're not all creative. And it takes too long to build a platform. So we ruin what other people have already built in order to spread our poisonous identity politics instead.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't, like what else is there to say? It's a joke.
They're saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, that's what we've been... Actually, I asked the same question on the Tapas, which is a webcomic forum back in 2015 when they were having this discussion. And I was like, well, why not just make your own characters? I'm all for you guys. Because most webcomics are about gay people anyway, or trans people or whatever.
Yeah.
So why can't you just do that? Like, why do you need this person to be black or this person to be gay? And they just said straight up, well, because we need people to see it and people aren't interested in our new characters. So we need to change the existing characters so that then we have one of those characters out there in the public eye. So I'm like, oh, well, then so it's about messaging then. It's not about the character or the story or anything. It's just you're here to propagandize. And it's this is why readers are turning away in droves and flocking to manga and other things. Right there. One of the reasons.
Yep.
I got erection says Rob's normal stream voice is a farce.
Yeah, and then like everyone is here we go. Over 1,000 years of heterosexual media, a handful of LGBTQ characters isn't much of an ask.
Go for it. Make them.
Yeah.
I beg of you. Get out there and make your beloved LGBTQ character. No one is stopping you. In fact, will applaud you. But you can't make existing characters who aren't gay just because you don't see enough of them out there existing already. That's not how it works, because we've been sold this idea that you can change things up. It doesn't matter. What does it matter? The character's black, white, Asian, gay, straight, trans. It matters because people are people, and characters are supposed to be. When you're reading a story, you're supposed to believe that character is a real person. That's how you connect with stories.
Mm-hmm.
If you're reading a story and that's not a real person, it's an avatar for a demographic, just to get some representation in there. How are you supposed to like that story? How are you supposed to enjoy it, connect with it? You can't.
Chuck Ritter says, translation, nobody wants our shit, so we'll take the hard work of others to push our agenda down your throat. That's pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm.
There was a, like, when I first started getting into crowdfunding back on Kickstarter back in the day, so ages ago, there was a guy that was really successful, and I didn't understand what he was doing that made him so successful. He had a gay webtoon, and he turned that into a book, and it was really popular. So I mean, he's doing it. Why can't you do it?
Oh, like, there are webtoons out there about all this stuff that are more popular than we could ever hope, in terms of people reading it every week. More popular than we could ever hope to achieve. We're talking 10 million readers a week or something on webtoon, and they're all about this stuff. But that's not good enough, because they want it to exist in the kind of the kind of stuff that gets talked about on the websites, on the CBR and Bleeding Cool, and that get made into MCU movies and stuff like that. Although a lot of these popular webtoons actually are ending up getting made into anime. So
there is 1.6 million people in America that identify as transgender in the US. Out of what, nearly 400 million people? That seems high too.
How many of those would we consider trans by how we defined trans 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what you could do. Mo says, why can't you do it, Rob? For your information, Bancroft had a popular gay webtoon.
It wasn't gay, but it was reasonably popular. I mean, it wasn't popular by their standards, but over 20,000 subs. I think that was pretty good.
I floated an idea past you earlier, Bancroft, and I want to get the chat's take on it. So you know how some people do flash sales after you've backed a book and it doesn't really go down that well. I was thinking, what if, like, say there's Replicator 4 campaign and I introduce a new tier or perk, whatever you want to call it, and it's like trading cards, for example, right? For one day, those trading cards are 25% off. Then they go up to the regular price. What do you guys think of that? What do you think, Mike?
Yep.
Love it. Oh, fantastic. Great input. Fuck, streams ended. We can all go home. Jesus.
I mean, you want me to expound on that?
Please. I mean, I've got a whole heap of topics here, and, we've still got an hour to go.
Yeah. I like discounts. They're good, I guess.
Right. Fucking hell.
Well, Rob, you keep asking me yes/no questions. What do you want me to do with them?
Would that make you feel, Mike?
You want me to make 3 movies out of the Hobbit book?
Yes.
I can't do it. I didn't
you
even come back for the 3rd one.
I have faith in you.
I have nothing to say on that. you know, my mantra exists as it always has, which is do what you do. Do what you think is best for your business.
Jasper says, I hate the flash sales Ethan's been doing. What's the point of being an early backer? So with that, right, I'm saying that during the campaign, if a new something comes up, a new cover, you can get access to it, say for 25% off before it goes to full price. What do you think? What do you think, guys? Help me out here because Mike isn't helping me out one bit, and I am, I'm just.
Yeah, I think that's a completely different situation. So,
like, I want to make the backers feel like they're not, like they're getting a deal, like they're not getting their money's worth, worth it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh my gosh. Mike, what have you got going on, dude? Seriously, what's happening with you?
Well, I'm thinking of doing trading cards too. Did you hear about me talking about them yesterday? No, you didn't watch my show. You never do. Why would I even ask?
I was there.
Jasper has it exactly. Oh my god. What's the question?
What's the question? What is the question?
Jasper. I don't even know. Norman Red is right. Yeah, earlier backers wouldn't dig it if the sale happens later on. But I think Rob's talking about if the sale happens first. So you get in first. If you get in early, you get it cheaper. If you wait, you pay more. I think see that's like saying that's like asking the question, oh, what do you think if you did a campaign and then you fulfilled it? Is that a good idea? It's like, yes, of course it's a good idea. Like there's nothing really to discuss there.
Okay, cool. Good idea. That's what I take from that conversation. So you're doing trading cards, Mike. Tell us more.
Well, I finally honed in on an idea that I think would work for me. So I'm going to be trying to do trading cards that explain a little bit about what's happening in the book with the historical things. So there's a bunch of references in the story and people don't know what they are. And I always say, well, if you want to know, I mean, either if you're a person who's into this sort of stuff, history, you might know about it. But if you want to know, you can go out there and research. But then, well, that's like asking people to kind of, go and Google stuff. What's a better way to do it is I can do these trading cards because I never really liked the idea of trading cards for the Lucent, just because, like, what are you going to do? You're going to have a dude sitting on an old dude sitting on an armchair in his cardigan drinking a tea. Like,
it doesn't really work.
Put that on a trading card. No, it doesn't work. So I thought, okay, I've got all these things: the Olam, Artemis, Isham, Seven Sages, Dilmun, Utnapishtim, Uruk, Gilgamesh, Enkidu, your favorite. The Scorpion Men. Remember you were asking me about the Scorpion Men?
I will do that trading card for you.
Oh, because you've got the Scorpion Men art that you did. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'll draw it for you. That'll be my contribution to your campaign.
I'll be doing them myself. Thank you very much.
Wow.
The Catacombs, Albion, Lutece, Lascaux, Frog in the Well. All these things that are coming that are either in Waking Dream or Painted Death. And what I would do is on the back, I would have a brief couple of sentences or whatever, a paragraph about like what it is in real history or mythology. Who were the Seven Sages in history? What was their impact? Like where were they found? Who were they? That sort of stuff. And then underneath that, I can have in the Lucent, like what's my interpretation of them and stuff like that. So when you get the trading card, you get a cool piece of art, but you can also get some more understanding of what's happening in the book.
As long as it's not like those interviews at the back of the book.
No, I don't think it would be like that.
Okay, good. This is great. Nornrad says, I want Enkidu's rookie card. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, well, I could draw Enkidu as he's traditionally portrayed. And what I'm thinking of doing is I'm not going to do it in my normal comic book style. I'm going to do it in a more concept art style. So it'll be like a different style, which I think would really fit for trading cards.
Mo says, Rob, just draw the cards anyway. Bancroft will be so impressed that he'll change his mind, especially once his laziness kicks. Dude, I'm going to draw the cards. I'm going to draw the Scorpion Man card. And I don't know what we'll do with it, but I'll draw it. Jay Ryan says, damn, Rob got the taste slapped out of his mind. That was brutal. I haven't been shut down that hard in a long time. Dave says, should trading cards be stretch goals or just added to the shipment as extra? It's a tough one.
I think it depends. Again, it's like whatever you want to do with your campaign. I don't know. I'm thinking of selling the trading cards as a group.
Yeah.
But then I'm also thinking of giving maybe like everyone gets
an Enkidu rookie card.
An Enkidu card. But if you want the full set, $5 or something. You know, something like that. So everyone gets at least a trading card or 2 trading cards.
Damn.
And then, well, I don't have to pay an artist. So it's just printing. I don't know, whatever it is. I don't know how much trading cards cost. And yeah, but if you want the full set, then you have to pay for them. I'm thinking of ways to just like cheaper things. It's not much extra, like maybe a 3 poster pack for a little bit extra, or the trading cards for a little bit extra. What else? Standee, maybe. I don't know. Stuff like that.
Oh, God, I was going to ask you. I like that idea you had about doing like the limited cards, like the rare cards. Do you guys like that idea in chat of having like an Enkidu rare version of a trading card? So, it's hard to get it. Do you like that idea or not?
Do you like it as in people have to buy it, or it's like, all right, I'm going to print, I don't know, 150 Enkidu cards and 10 of them will have a special thing on it. See, I don't know how feasible that is at the numbers that we're doing. That's the problem.
Mo says, a poster of the infamous Gilgamesh Enkidu love scene would be a hit with the gay community. Dude, that would clean up. What can we trade the cards for? Good question. Like a golden ticket type. I wanted a full-size 5 foot 11-inch Michael Bancroft standee.
Well, thank you for giving me an extra inch too, by the way, or someone. That's very kind.
Von Stugel says, can people get a splattered Enkidu card?
No. I mean, he has a little bit of spittle on his mouth, but I don't think there's like a splooge or anything happening.
Mike, you liked something I did today, and it was quite shocking for me.
I already forgot what it was. Oh yeah, show that thing.
Yeah, so Mike and I have been talking about doing boxes for a long time now, and
hang on. There's some good comments coming in here. Mo says, "Thank you for giving me that extra inch." Bancroft only usually says that to Rod. And Zed says, "Don't get too excited. He took that inch from somewhere else."
All right, I'm thinking about doing boxes. Mike is thinking about doing boxes. I did like a rough concept for one. Let me know what you guys think. So this is it here. It would be like
it's sort of tapered. Are you thinking of doing a tapered box, or is that just?
This is just my shit house drawing,
right?
Like,
because it actually lines up. The perspective lines up quite well.
It's just terrible. So yeah, like if you're back to certain tier, it would come in a box. I'm doing like a Fallout post-apocalyptic survival type box is what I'm going for here. You've got like the safety tape here. You've got like the biological hazard thing here in case of emergency. This would be all rust effects. What do you guys think? What do you think? Mike liked it. So if you don't like it, blame Mike because he told me it was good.
Arthurline says, do a military armored briefcase, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll make it look cool, but we can't do that kind of thing because it'd be too heavy. I hate the pizza boxes store folio only.
What do you hate about them, Jasper? I mean, this is an interesting way to deliver your product. I mean, you don't have to keep them. You can throw it away. Hate seems like a very unusual take on something that you don't have to pay for. It's just you get it, or maybe you do have to pay for. I mean, this will be part of a bigger tier, though, won't it, Rob?
Yeah, this would be a big tier.
Yeah.
So, like, you'd have everything inside. It would be really cool. Give you that satisfaction of when you get it in the mail and open it. Like, I really want to. I don't know if you plan to do this, Mike, but like, I really want to get more into like the world building aspect of Replicator. Like, give you more of a sense of what's going on and what's happening in the world.
Just like what I talked to you about with the trading cards 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, totally... I do want to get into that more.
Yeah, cool. Good. We're on the same page. Mo says, Jasper hates love and loves hate. Simply Green, do like boxes more so if it's snug fit for a complete set. Bonus points if all the spines are consistent so it looks nice on the shelf. Okay. Mike, I said to you, I gave you a great idea, didn't I? You're like, that's the best idea I've ever heard, Rob. I'm gonna go with that.
I don't recall that happening, but sure.
I said, what did I say? I said you could do a box that looked like an ancient tomb or book. What do you think of that?
It's all right. It's okay.
What are you going with then?
I don't know. I honestly haven't thought about it, to be honest, because I haven't finished my covers yet. If I really think this is what I want the main image of the book to look like, I'm happy to just do a sort of like a Lucent branded thing, and not necessarily turn it into a gimmick, because I can't think of a gimmick that properly fits, because the whole ancient book tomb thing really only applies to kind of a tenth of the book itself. So I don't know if it's like properly appropriate, is what I'm saying.
Sumo says, do you think putting a biohazard sign is a good idea for a box you're going to mail? Yes, I have thought about that, and I am not sure. It's a good point.
What about it briefly? And
I might have to put something else on it instead of that particular logo.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to make it a real biohazard icon. You can come up with your own sort of fake biohazard icon that is clearly made up.
Jasper says they're cheap and overpriced. Ethan offers the magnetic flop store follows. They feel like you're getting money's worth. Pizza boxes seem cheap for a premium price tier.
But it's just a delivery system. It's not for keeping. A lot of people do keep them. I keep mine, but I don't have to. It's just like a cool way. It's like when you used to get I look at it when you get a video. You used to buy a video game, like in a physical one, and it comes in a box, and they would put art on the box. That's all. I'm not seeing it as like a place to store your comics or anything, but I mean, I guess if people are using it for that, yeah, it's not really. It's a shipping box. That's how I see it. It's a shipping box. It's like a branded shipping box.
Timberwolf, what do you think about $10 or €10 shipping EU and around $17 for the rest of the world, all tracked and insured? That's going to be
depends
tough,
on the
man.
price of your of your main book too. Like, what are we talking here?
A euro is pretty much $1, $1 US. So it's $17 to ship it to the US. I think that's tough for them. They're not used to that price point.
Yeah, 15 is where most Americans dip out. That's like,
yeah,
they're like, no.
yeah.
Everyone else in the world is like $45. It's getting a bit expensive.
I was unclear that it's a shipping box. Mandy and Patrick are selling overpriced decorative.
Oh, well,
pizza
I don't know what
boxes.
those guys are doing. I'm talking
yeah.
about what we're talking. We're talking about, like a thing to ship our comics in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to a Gemini mailer, much like what like this sort of thing. It's like how you ship the boxes in. So instead of a mailer, you get it in this.
I still haven't got mine.
Really?
My copy. Yeah, I still haven't got it.
So it's not for like it's just like it's to replace a Gemini mailer essentially. That's how I see it. I don't like you get the box on the bigger tiers because it's more. I imagine it's more expensive than a Gemini mailer, and it fits more stuff. So you wouldn't just put a single comic in that. It wouldn't make sense. You can put T-shirts and rolled up posters and other gimmicks. You can put pins in there and not have them dent anything. All sorts of stuff. But and it's a cool branding kind of way of doing it. It's what I'm sort of thinking of doing. Going to shrink wrap it so it looks like a cool, classy thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
What I would do.
I don't think I would ever pay for a box like that.
What I would do, Timberwolf, is I would probably ship my comics to RJ in the US and get him to fulfill them there. I think that's your best bet, man, if that's what you're looking to do. Maps of the cartographic variety, Bancroft. You could repurpose the card art writing and put it on a world map indicating the locations.
The locations aren't as important in the Lucent. It's not a big issue, and that's got to do with storytelling element that has been hinted at, but hasn't really been explored. It's not that much of a thing, but I do like that for other projects where a map is really important, where you've got it's set in a specific area of the world or a fantasy world. I'm a big fan of that stuff.
Skip says, has anyone found a better deal on mailers than Gemini on Alibaba or anything? I've gotten some off-brand ones that actually cost more. Ask Eric Weathers, man. He's got a deal with Gemini. Go ask Eric Weathers. He might be able to hook you up. Cool. Bancroft, you got anything else?
Sign up to Replicator 4.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Let's see if Camel's got any more backers. I really want him to hit 160. Really want him to hit 160. Is there anyone else in chat? Really want him to hit 160. How's the Lucent sign going, man? You're killing it, yeah?
1,030, I think.
Oh god, we're up to 473.
Once I got over to 1,000, it's like really slowed down. I know 1,029. Pretty good. No complaints.
We're up to 473 signups. Page is looking good. All
right, I'm gonna share something because you're floundering here.
I'm floundering. I'm like out of energy.
Awful. Speaking of trading cards, actually, I'm just gonna share my friggin' screen. Because this is rad. Shadowpunk.
Yeah, these are really nice. Yeah, we're looking at these earlier.
Who wouldn't want that?
That's fantastic.
That's cool. I tell you, the foil on the trading cards looks so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how expensive it is. I don't know how easily you can do it. Actually, I know nothing about making trading cards. It's like no one does trading cards in Australia. You have to get them made overseas or something.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I asked on Twitter today if anyone was a graphic designer. I got like 30 DMs. It was insane. Remind me not to do that again.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy of you to do.
Yeah, it was insane.
No, I want to talk about this. Thinking of doing a new kind of short video, 10-minute videos that'll dive into the actual story of the comics we're making, not a review. Maybe I'll call them creator-owned comics explained. 2 on the nose. You said creator-owned comics knowledge.
Mine was the best suggestion.
I don't know. But either way, I mean, I don't care about, actually, I've kind of given up on doing series titles and stuff like that. But the idea is what I want to talk about. Someone said, just make sure you don't kind of just go through the whole comic and read the, read the whole thing and give away the ending or anything like that, which is, I think, what Comics Explained does. To the point where, all right, do I even need to read the comic anymore? Because Bancroft has said everything. And that's not what I'm thinking of doing. Yeah, people, it seems like, I don't know. It's like people who follow me on Twitter seem to think it was a good idea. I don't know how much interest there would be. Timberwolf, that's a good idea. I'll make a playlist with a title. Put them all in there.
And so
would you consider watching them?
Would I?
Yeah.
Probably not. You do too many videos for me, Mike. Like, I have a short attention span. You expect me to watch your videos every day? It's not going to happen.
These will be 5 to 10 minute videos, depending, I guess, on the length of the book. So let's say I start with Blood Honey. All right. This is Cyberfrog. This is his real name. This is how he got made. And I'm bringing up the actual panels of this happening. This is, his mothership or whatever, and Salamandroid. And in Blood Honey, this is sort of roughly what happens up until the kind of, I won't show the climax or anything like that, but like, this is what it's about. This is the sort of story it is. This is what it is. Because there's not really any content out there apart from some really long form reviews. There's not really any content out there talking about the actual books. We talk about promoting them, we promote them, and we talk about what it's like to make them and sell them. But I don't know anything really about, I've probably learned about it because I've had him on, but say, like, I don't know, Absolute, Jason Baskin's book. Yeah, they can get a bit long. I did the one I did, that's why I stuffed up today, Mo. I did one, I waffled, and it was like 17 minutes, and I sat there in silence for a few times, and I was like, oh, I've got to edit this. It's way too long. And then I accidentally uploaded the long one.
Oh gosh, crap. Really?
I had to like delete it while it was premiering.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was terrible. Luckily, no, like very few people were in there, only about 10 people. And then I put up the next one, and more people watched it. It was weird. Like I put up the actual one. I prefer to go for 10 minutes, but sometimes I just waffle on, and I don't know, I guess I'm trying to get better at that. 10 minutes is much better. 15 is like too long, but either way, I'm thinking these would be 5 to 10 minutes. And so that we can actually, I don't know, show these around or like share them, because most people aren't going to watch an hour or 2 or 3 hour long stream to find the area in it where people talk about, oh, what's the book about, sort of thing.
Mo says, Bancroft, what if some creators insist you keep their cocks out of your mouth and take down the video?
I don't see that happening. Like, if I was spoiling things and if I was showing things that weren't already shown, yeah. But I don't see that happening. I don't see me getting a big Will Smith slap because I've got their cock in my mouth.
I was thinking about doing something similar, but not at all. But like using shorts and just like doing like a really cool bit from each comic that I really liked. Like, for example, when you murdered all those children, or where that pregnant lady exploded and the fetus went in a graveyard shift. or where Adam Lawson had that guy who was trying to put his son's head back together. I thought that would be really cool, but then I'm like, I don't know if Malin would want people to see that. So I understand where Sumo and Mo are coming from here.
Yeah, but what's the difference? And I wouldn't even do it like, say, for instance, when a new episode of some TV show comes out, like what Jeremy does, he does a review on it and he actually goes through it. What's the difference between that and what I'm thinking of doing?
Because I guess people have to buy these books, and the show don't.
We have to pay for the streaming service. You have to, I don't know, have that streaming service or go to the movie if it's in the theaters or stuff like that. I'm not talking about spoiling them. So it's like you're not going to know the ending, like, oh, what happens at the end, and this is the big twist or something like that. But I think a rundown on what kind of book it is, like what sort of story you get, a sort of a brief premise, setup, a little bit of the characterization, the maybe the connections between the characters, that sort of stuff. I think that's all in order.
I don't know, man. I think it's worth trying.
It's worth trying. I don't know if anyone will be interested, but
yeah,
because I used to do those deep dives, and I don't think they were terribly popular, but I also don't think they were the right format for it. And I don't know. We always talk about, we've got to create the content of the future. Everyone is complaining about Marvel and DC or Lord of the Rings or She-Hulk or whatever. Well, go out there and create the culture, and then when that happens, very few people actually talk about the product. People are doing ISOM reviews, but I don't know if people are getting together and getting into the characters and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Maybe they are.
How was ISOM? Who bought it in the chat? Was it a good read? I know Jasper got it. I don't know if he read it or if he just flipped it straight away. Skip says, what if you did an elevator pitch for your books you've read and try to reel in more new readers? Sumia says, what about people getting upset that you didn't stroke their cock?
To answer Skip's question, I don't want to be promoting. We always promote. I don't want to promote it. I mean, it is tacitly promoting it because I'm showcasing it, but I don't want to be overly positive. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to pass my judgment on it. I don't know how easily that's going to go, but this is how I want to try it anyway.
Your videos have gone really well for your channel though, dude, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going okay. I mean, some are better than others. Some flop, some do really well. I can kind of tell which ones are going to do well. Like I can usually guess, and then they usually do. It's like the generic evergreen ones seem to do the best. Why do the woke hate heroes? That sort of stuff seems to do really well. But it's like, how many different ways can you talk about it? I need an article or something to kind of hinge it on. I don't want to just be sitting there rambling off the top of my fat head.
How long until you have the biggest channel in CG?
About 5 years, I reckon.
5 years? Sweet. Okay. Put a timer on it. All right, that's it. We're going to wrap it up, Bancroft. You got anything else? Because
it's not even 22. We got 22 minutes to go. Rob, suffer.
No, I don't want to suffer. I don't. All right, if we suffer, we're going to do it my way. Bancroft, if you could merge two animals into one animal to make the perfect fighting animal, what would it be?
Perfect fighting animal?
Yeah.
Can I rescale them? Or it's just like, if I put a scorpion with a bear, does it become a giant scorpion bear? Or
Yes.
does it it's just like a big bear with a tiny little scorpion tail on the back of
No,
its
no.
neck?
Let's say it's the same size as the biggest thing that you've got, the biggest animal that's part of the combination. Timberwolf says gorilla bear. Really? Oh, Sumo says gorilla and a porcupine.
I think you're right, Awesome One. Robbie's just mad that Shane has 200 people watching. I feel the same thing. I feel like that's why he wants to give up on you all. He gave up on you, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I'm not going to let him do it again. What about, can we mix it with humans? Because humans are an animal.
Why would you want a human? Humans
For the
are
brain.
useless.
This is the most important weapon of all.
Yeah, but not if you're locked in a cage with another animal. You're gonna be useless.
Hang on. Was that specified that we'd be in a cage?
Wow, why not? Let's get
Well,
real.
because you didn't specify that.
Dave says a killer shark and a gorilla. How would that work, Dave? That would not work.
Why? Because the shark can't breathe out of water?
I mean, how would that look? Actually, that'd be kind of interesting. I'll draw that up.
We have we have AI art now. We don't need to draw it. Just type it in.
Mo says a blue whale-sized cheetah.
For what purpose? Would it be able to run as fast as a cheetah, but still being the size of a blue whale? And it's got this massive maw that just like picks up its enemies and eats it whole.
God. This would be such a great comic.
Sumo says my gorilla pine wins.
I mean, that'd be pretty good though. The gorilla pine would be pretty decent. Like, how are you going to beat that? It's covered in spines everywhere. It's got the power of a gorilla.
There's a kind of a shrimp. Yeah,
Manta
most says
shrimp.
yes, huge and fast. Yeah, that would be pretty devastating. But
Manta
usually the
shrimp.
problem is the bigger you are, the harder you fall. Yeah, the mantis shrimp that has that thing that it snaps so fast, it creates a superheated bubble that escapes faster than the speed of sound and kills its prey.
Did you know, Mike, if you scaled up a mantis shrimp to human size, they could throw a tennis ball into outer space? Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool?
Physics would have a different thing to say about that, but I understand mathematically, yes, that's probably accurate.
Mo says, who would win? A gorilla pine versus super intelligent millionaire snaggle?
Well, remember, Mo, the super intelligent millionaire snail never gives up. He never gets tired. He never eats. He never sleeps. He absolutely will not stop ever until he touches you and for some inexplicable reason you die. I can't believe the Timberwolf is out. He's like, I got to keep working, guys. I'll see you later. I can't believe it.
It's like just when the stream started getting interesting.
I know, right? I mean,
oh my God.
These are the hard-hitting theological questions. And we're carrying on from the great traditions of Aristotle, Socrates, and Plato, and now Arnold.
Well, you haven't answered the question yet, Mike. What was your choice?
I don't know. I mean, I still think, because the cage thing is bullshit. You can't, that's changing the goalpost. I still think you would want to put a human with something.
No, you can't put a human because that's lame. That's lame. Well,
I still think intelligence will win out. The only thing, like, for instance, the people, you know why humans, one of the reasons they think humans won out over the Neanderthals is because of our intelligence, and that forced us to invent spears that we could throw from a distance that were better than the spears that the Neanderthals used that kind of ran in and just kind of stabbed with, and that caused them to die a lot. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like if it's a fight to the death, how is your brain power going to help you in that immediate situation? It's not. You're going to get killed by gorilla pine. Mike.
Porcupine. All right. Does it have to be an animal that's still alive?
No. What do you got? What are you throwing at
Or
us?
can we go T-Rex?
T-Rex. Yeah, with mixed with what?
A squirrel.
And I'm pressing the button.
No,
All right,
no,
guys.
no. Listen,
End
hear me out.
broadcast.
Have you ever seen a squirrel move? The way they run? They're like,
Yes.
they're lightning fast. Up a tree. You're in a fight with this T-Rex. It can bite your head off. It could bite your whole body off in a second. But it's like, it's super fast. And
When
it's
the
running
answer
around.
is stupider than the question. Wow.
I gave you my answer. You didn't accept it. You thought it was lame with the people.
It's terrible. It's a terrible answer.
Rob's looking at the time. He's like, 15 minutes. Are you shitting me? You're the one who made it a 2-hour show, by the way. No one.
Well, back in the day, Mike, we had 2 hours worth of content every time. Now it's, it's
Did we?
50-50.
I don't remember that.
Well, maybe not. It's been a minute.
We've kind of talked everything to death.
Oh, we kind of have, haven't we? Like what is left to talk about? What is left to talk about? Well, Mike, that is terrible. A T-Rex with a squirrel. My dog's killed squirrels before, so I mean, you're not setting the bar very high there.
In the UK, I presume.
In the UK, yeah. We could go down what Camel and Anna and John and Cecil were talking about, and that's whether you would
go in that direction. Rob, if you want to end the stream, let's end the stream. I'll go have some dinner.
Look how quickly you just abandoned ship. After I'm not going to let Rob weasel out of this one, but when it gets to Siamese twins, you quickly to jump overboard.
Sumo has a question. He says, Bancroft, do you dislike doing cartoons that much? No, I actually enjoy doing them. They just take so long for this thing to do, and I just kind of agree